Cameroon is looking forward to becoming an emerging economy by 2035. And for this to be a reality, the Central African state will need alternative sources of energy. With just about 50% of Cameroon's population having access to electricity, experts say turning to other forms of energy remains highly imperative. Now, renewable sources of energy such as solar, wind or biomass, to name this, offer a glimmer of hope in this situation. And in today's edition of the program Planet Rise, we are going to be discussing how these renewable sources of energy can help Cameroon to bridge its energy gap. We are coming to you from the town of Friendship, Limbe, and I'm your regular host, Regina Leke Tantak. Stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for choosing Canal International. But first, we'll take you to a masterpiece of solar energy installation in the town of Limbe. And when we come back, we're going to be meeting our guests. Located in the heart of Limbe, southwest region of Cameroon, the Giga Tower is fast becoming a center of attraction with a first-of-a-kind solar energy installation at the rooftop of the building. Planet Rise TV show made a stop at the multi-purpose building solar energy plant designed and installed by leading renewable energy brand Tako Energy.
Here we've installed a solar power plant to offset the energy bill of Giga Tower. And the solar system is made of a total PV array capacity of 160 kilowatt with a 250 kVA inverter capacity. And the system is installed to power all the loads of this building, especially during the peak energy usage of the facility. And it is going to offset over 50% of the energy requirement of the structure.
The executive director of Tako Energy breaks it down for us how energy is trapped from the sun.
Solar energy constitutes four main components. You have the panels, you have the inverters, the charge controller, and the batteries. Okay. So those four components is what constitutes a solar system. Here we're in the powerhouse for Giga, where we have a series of 500 ampere hour 2-volt batteries. So what happens is that the solar panel is out there from what we saw from, we're gonna go out there and I'll show you. The panels capture the sunlight. The sunlight comes in the form of electrons, gets into the batteries, which the batteries store those electrons, which is in DC, direct current format. Then over there we have the inverter. The inverter now, the inverter is what converts now this power that is stored in these batteries into what we call alternating current, AC.
The energy captured from the sun provides ample power backup in an environment characterized by incessant power cuts.
Now the total capacity there is about 360 kilowatt hour of storage. And this is enough, during peak sun hour to generate over 50% of the total energy that is used in this facility. Now, when you look at the benefit that it gives to the facility is that though it's not 100% powering the facility, it's almost 50% of the total energy used, while the other percentage is provided by the utility grid, Eneo. Now, the advantage that this system provides in a structure like this are enormous. Beginning from providing a stable power supply, our grid is very, very unreliable. And in periods where the facility need is at its peak energy usage, and it's running on Eneo, if there is any power cut, then we have a backup that can take the facility for several hours.
Apart from economic benefits, the solar energy system goes a long way to reduce the carbon footprint of the business and enhance its environmental stewardship.
Energy use in this facility as backup, the primary backup system has been diesel generators. And when diesel generators run, it consumes hydrocarbon fuel. And these fuels are the major emitters of greenhouse gas that affect the ozone layer. So in the event that we don't use the diesel generator for backup purposes and we are using solar energy, it helps to contribute to the reducing the emissions that affect that contribute to climate change.
The process has also created jobs for young people.
Taku energy industry employ a lot of young Cameroonians, create a lot of jobs, manual labor, even technicians. We have transportation for the batteries, the panels, we have installation that we need manual labor, you have the offloading. So you can even train them. You can even train them to work on the solar energy process.
As nations pledge to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050, the need to transition to renewable sources of energy has even become more crucial. Our guest in today's edition of the program has over 15 years experience in technical and business leadership. He has multiple degrees from the prestigious University of Arizona in the United States of America. He is the Managing Executive Director of TACO Energy, a hub for renewable energy solutions on the African continent. He is Mr. Allen A. TACO. Thank you so much for joining us in today's edition of the program, sir.
It's a pleasure having you.
Now we're talking about renewable energy in Cameroon and of course on the African continent. And when you look at some statistics from the World Bank 2018 to be precise, it says that just about 50% of Cameroon's population have access to electricity. Now, as an expert in energy, can you talk to us about how real the problem of electricity is in Cameroon?
Oh, the problem of electricity in Cameroon is severe. I mean, take for example the number of unplanned blackouts that we have.
Okay.
We talk about high voltages, low voltages. All this contribute to a lot of negative economic impact, not just to individuals, but to businesses. For example, if you have to go to the bank and perform a transaction, sometimes you go there, they say there's no electricity. If you go to government agency, in some cases like the national port where we do some of our importation, you go there sometimes you spend weeks and they are not able to transact simple business transactions. And in talking about people in the rural areas, they have a lot of challenges trying to even keep up with some of their crops that they harvest from the bushes, from the farms, because they don't have any source of preserving those crops. Yes, it is very severe and it's going to be causing a lot of economic impact, not just to the government, but equally to the people of Cameroon as well as to the environment in terms of having the limited energy resources that people need to be able to drive their economic activities.
Yes, and just like you mentioned, rural electrification is even worse. According to the report from World Bank 2018, just about 17% of the rural area has access to electricity. I mean, what accounts for such low percentage, even though you mentioned some time ago that in other African countries it's even far worse?
Yes. For the case of Cameroon, we have to look at it in different directions. We have to first of all look at how energy is produced in Cameroon. Cameroon energy is predominantly hydro, and then we have equally the challenges of infrastructure.
Okay.
So this lends itself to the government or the national power company being able to provide electricity mostly to the urban area. That's why you see the numbers, about 80% of the energy availability is in the urban areas. So some of the challenges have to do with the fact that you have places in villages where they have challenges such as they are remote on the terrain on trying to make distributed power very, very impossible for the national grid. So that alone makes it kind of very economic. It doesn't give the incentives for this national power company in New to be able to expand into those other rural areas. And then you have what you call people moving from rural areas to the city, where the cities are becoming more populated, and you have a lot of other infrastructure that are coming up that were not well planned in many respects. So that by itself makes it very difficult to be able to plan well in terms of how power is distributed and in terms of the economic incentives.
And now, what is your assessment of the impact of poor electrification on the growth of the Camerian economy and on the lives of the people?
Yeah, it's going to be severe in the sense that if we want to be able to meet our 2035 business, I mean, economic development plan that the head of state have put forward, it will mean that we have to be able to look at other areas in how we make our energy production mix.
Okay.
In this case, we don't just rely on hydropower, we don't just rely on biomass. Biomass is one of the predominant sources of energy for the rural areas especially.
Okay.
We have to equally look at wind and solar energy. Cameroon is endowed with a lot of the possibility of developing mixed energy sources such as renewable in the terms of solar, where we know that from the north to the south we have enough sunlight that can be able to power the various devices that have to power the economy.
I think we're going to have time to talk about the potentials in terms of developing renewable energy, but which brings me to my next question, which is of course very connected, because as we've said before, Cameroon wants to transition into an emerging economy by 2035. What is the place of renewable energy in such a transition?
Renewable energy has a very powerful and urgent place that the government has to look more into it.
Okay.
That's how you develop a smart economy. You have the United States, even though they have a lot of the energy infrastructure built, smart grid, but they're still investing heavily into renewable energy. You have China investing heavily into renewable energy, and then now you have African countries like Cameroon, where you have a lot of people living in rural areas where they don't have access to energy, as we started off by recognizing that. So for the economy to grow and to make sure that we fill in the gap of what the current infrastructure can do, then we have to look for better solutions in terms of renewable energy, providing the mechanism, not just for energy, but equally for new type of employment.
Okay.
We have different programs where you can be able to have young Cameroonians be trained on how to become energy installer. That by itself open up room for new type of employment, and you have the ability for people to be able to have independent power for themselves. Just imagine you go to a hospital and you want to take care of yourself, and then there's no power. But now if you have renewable energy that is there,
such as solar,
which there's always sun every day.
Okay.
There's no reason why the doctors can perform their duty. There's no reason why if you're a student and you're studying at home and your laptop goes up because there's no electricity, you have portable solar systems that can be able to power your laptop, you can learn. There's no reason why somebody in the government offices can't perform their duty because they don't have power, because the national grid has gone down. So if we integrate renewable energy such as solar and wind, then that will create a very powerful alternative. It will give the empowerment not only for businesses but equally for the locals to be able to feel like they have control over their lives.
Well, that sounds very interesting. And my next question I want to ask you is, nations are battling to keep temperatures below 2 degrees as the effects of climate change becomes more and more evident. Now, to achieve this huge goal, a transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy is also required. Now, concretely, how would switching to renewable energy help to fight against climate change?
It will help in many facets. First, when you use renewable energy, you're cutting down the amount of carbon dioxide emission that you have. It cuts down on greenhouse emissions.
Okay.
So renewable energy as an alternative is a smart way for any economy to grow in a sustainable manner, in the sense that when you are using energy that is from the natural source, you are not going to be depleting other things like the natural gas that is being exploited, minings and all that comes with the other environmental factors. So yes, when we use renewable energy, it helps very much to increase the availability of energy without spending too much on other resources such as exploitation, various mineral exploitations that have to power things like the diesel generators. You don't have to import fuel like in some other countries like in the US where fuel was being imported. So for the case of Cameroon, we have a mix of hydroelectricity, which is about 50% of our energy production. We have biomass that is equally coming up very strong, as well as natural gas. But unfortunately, we only have 1% of renewable, less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Actually, 0.1% of the mix of renewable energy. So for the case of Cameroon, if we can be able to expand our strategic investment on how we import, not just importing renewable energy, and how we try to develop our own renewable energy resources here, it will be very much a positive impact to us, contributing to our goal of making sure we're, I think,
below 2%.
Below 2%.
Yeah, 2 degrees. Yeah, and I think in one of our discussions, you actually made mention of the fact that imagine going to rural areas where the population depend on to exploit forests for their livelihoods. If they have electrification, they can, you know, set up small businesses, and it will lead. They will not over depend on the forest. Can you expatiate a little on that?
Yes. For example, I mean, if you...
Because, of course, the forests help us to sequestrate carbon.
Correct.
And thereby, you know, help to fight
Correct.
against climate change. Yeah.
It will be counterproductive if we were telling some other developing countries to say, you know what, you have to plant a lot of trees.
Okay.
Whereas we're not taking consecutive actions here on how we prevent people from what we call forest...
degradation.
Yes, degradation. So... when we bring in renewable energy, it gives people the alternative for another economic vehicle for them to be able to sustain their lives.
Equally helps even conservation, because imagine somebody who is a hunter.
Correct.
And it's not is told not to hunt, but if he doesn't have maybe an alternative source of income, maybe if he has a small barbering salon, it can stop him from going to the forest to exploit wood or to kill down endangered species.
Very correct. And it's equally, you have other things like fishing.
Okay.
We have been able to work with some other partners in some other part of the country. Even here in Cameroon, we have Greenhouse Venture where they do kind of consolidated fishing.
Agriculture, okay.
Agriculture. So you have places where some ladies, instead of going down to cut trees, I mean, plant different things, they can be able to use the various types of renewable energy solutions that we have, where they use it to charge their phones, and then they charge a fee for that.
In 2014, you set up the Taku Energy, a company that seeks to drive innovations to meet Africa's growing, challenging energy needs. Now, first, talk to us about this, your business, and why you decided to delve into renewable energy.
Yes, I decided to delve into renewable energy so that we can come on and be the game changer.
Okay.
We discovered that there were a lot of different types of renewable energy solutions being marketed to Africans, which didn't really fit well in solving the various challenges that various African countries, especially Cameroon, face. So our goal is to provide solutions, not just come and sell energy as a commodity.
Okay.
So in Taku Energy, we said, okay, we'll come in here, we interface with the consumer, the people in the rural areas, the people in the cities, the big businesses, on how we can provide solutions that are reliable, cost-effective, and durable. Some of our solutions have been installed, just like we are going to be reviewing some of what we have now. And our goal equally is to provide employment opportunities for Cameroonians,
okay,
so that they can be trained to become experts in the field of renewable energy. They can be able to go out there into hospitals, into schools, into banks, businesses, and even community centers, and set up systems that are reliable. It's cost ineffective for you to buy something from China for $500, whereas you have the technology that Cameroonians can put things together, and they buy less the amount and it lasts for years.
Okay.
Our systems are designed to be reliable, and they are designed to make sure they solve the problem based on the environment in which they are installed.
And how receptive has the Cameroonian population been, talking about the local population and also authorities, to the solutions you provide?
Oh, it's been a mix of greatness. There have been some challenges, just like any person you're trying to operate in an environment where you're bringing in new technology, where many people are not very much versed with. But for the most part, Cameroonians have been very, very receptive. They are curious. It's kind of, they are very happy to see that Camerian is doing something that solves their problem.
Okay.
And many a time they are really interested in getting renewable energy systems from Taku Energy installed in their homes, but somehow limited by the economic ability for them to be able to finance these systems. For the officials, I mean, I've had a couple of various government officials that have contacted Taku Energy directly. I can't talk about the details now because we're still in discussion in terms of how we're going to move forward. But overall, it has been very positive. There have been other challenges, trying to get systems here, trying to get equipments here. We still have a lot of challenges in terms of how we import things into the country, technology into the country that is supposed to expand the economy, which we hope that some of those things will be resolved. But overall, it's been very positive. Cameroon is an interesting market for Taku Energy. We operate in other African countries, but being a Cameroonian of origin, I really want to see how we can make things happen for us, by us.
And now, talk to us about the different forms of energy that you're developing and what stands as, well, biggest challenge. You already mentioned the challenge, but maybe you can expatiate a little.
Okay, yeah. At Taku Energy, we design systems that can power basic things like cell phones, which we call the solar kits. We equally design systems that can power homes, so we focus on renewable energy from solar as well as wind turbines. We have special wind turbines that we have been able to partner with some other partners in the US to develop the kind of wind turbines that don't require a lot of wind, but they can be able to generate the amount of energy that is 98% more efficient than what we have now in the market. In terms of solar systems, we have solar panels that are designed to meet our tropical and desert climates, and we have equally battery systems that are designed to be reliable. One of the Taku Energy battery systems when you install in your home, you're counting of at least 5 years upward compared to what you have out in the market. So yes, we have a mixture of residential, commercial, as well as community-based systems that can take care of your home, take care of banks, take care of schools, take care of hospitals, and you name the rest. So we have a mixture of, the goal for Taku Energy is to make sure we design systems that are cost-effective, reliable, durable, and being able to meet the needs of the consumer.
Now, the Cameroon government has set the development of renewable energy as a strategic priority in order to offset power outages which slow down production. And I will say here that it has committed to increasing the contribution of renewable energy to electricity supply from the current less than 1% to 25% by 2035. Now the distribution will go as follows. We have 1% for wind, 6% for solar photovoltaic, and 7% for biomass, and 11% for HEP energy.
Yes.
My question is, do we have enough sun? Do we have enough wind to be able to generate these forms of electricity?
Definitely, yes. The good thing about Cameroon is that our geographical location predisposes us to be able to have many sources of renewable energy. We are now benefiting from hydro, which is the main power supply for us in terms of the hydro dam in the Dea. Yes, but for winds, from the north towards the Lake Chad, we have very good wind.
Okay.
And then west, we have a lot of wind. And I think from our information, the government has gone into different strategic move on doing what we call the private-public partnership, where they are planning to generate about 40 megawatts of power once the wind plant in the west is developed, and they plan on expanding that after 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, to 80 megawatts. So Cameroon, yes, has a lot.
And a lot of sun too?
A lot of sun. In Cameroon, I mean, we're from moderate to high value in terms of what we consider in the renewable energy field, sun irradiation. That is how much sun is able to be produced per square meter. Cameroon can produce on average of 5.7 kilowatts hour square meter per day for sunlight. In the north, to about 4 to 5 kilowatts hour meter square in the south. So we are very well strategically located by nature, by God, to be able to develop the kind of mix of renewable energy that we deserve and we should do as the government is having this strategic plan. I mean, just to add, I think from my investigation, the government is investing on the year 2000 solar project, where they are planning to have solar installation of 500 megawatts of power produced by solar panels. So we hope that
this sounds very interesting, but I'm a bit let me say worried. Not like I'm not optimistic, but what I'm trying to say is sometimes we have this very good, very great ideas, plans, but when it comes to implementation, it's not really the case. So now you are an expert in this domain, and I think that when you look at the Cameroonian program, you find it interesting. But what do you have to say to maybe some members of government who watch the program Planet Rise with regards to effective implementation of these very good plans?
Yes, I mean, the government has a strong vision for developing those plans, and those vision has to be powered. And the way it's being powered is not just by energy, it's being powered by the people. So what I will encourage and I will try to help in terms of my own as somebody in the private sector to do is to develop the human capacity.
Okay.
I see some studies that are being done very well by our university in Marua, that they have done a lot of research on renewable energy. But what the government has to do, in my humble opinion, is that they will have to integrate the various renewable energies programs into the curriculums, starting from secondary school upward to the universities. That way there's awareness created, and to be honest with you, the renewable energy is going to be the future. In terms of, we heard about internet.com being the future, renewable energy is the future in terms of technology. So if we start doing that, that will galvanize the people towards what is really necessary for the next generation of economic development. We cannot have a smart economy by teaching students on how to do things that are supposed to be out of their curriculum. Renewable energy has to be implemented. And then another program too is, how do you develop those who are out of college to be able to be viable in terms of having individual drive of entrepreneurial skills. We have to develop them to understand that energy as an part of employment, looking at renewable energy, looking at installation. For example, we're planning on installing systems all over the country where we can be able to have showrooms where students come, private sectors come, and
have
they
a
understand.
feel.
Yeah, they have a feel of how it works. Like our office in Douala in Akepe, if you come there, you see our system running, ACs, everything. So when they see it, they touch it, they like it, they know
understand
how
that this is possible.
This is possible. So, I mean, practice makes perfect. So we really need to develop the human capacity, and starting from the college curriculum is very important.
Any last words for our viewers?
What I would say is that, I mean, just like any African country, we have many challenges, but we should not give up. Some of us who have studied abroad and we're coming back is because we believe that there's a future in Africa. What your show is doing, really applaud you for your actions. It helps to create awareness for people to understand that at the end of the day, it's not just about us, it's the equal generation after us.
Definitely.
When we build a strong economy, we're building a strong generation growth in terms of people being able to understand that they can empower each other. So I would say energy shouldn't stop you from doing what you think is right. Let's keep making sure we are energy conservative. Let's keep making sure we look for different ways to make things better. That's why we talk about tackle energy as smart solutions, because we want to be able to work with the people, and working with partners like you and other partners, we can make the planet a better place for today. And
thank you so much, Mr. Taku A. Allen, for coming on Planet Rise. It was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure too. Thank you so much for having me.
And for all of you watching at home, thank you so much for watching. We shall be back again in a fortnight with another interesting topic on how to save your planet. For now, it's goodbye and God bless.